So, full transparency, we did forget to film an introduction in our most recent episode, which is why my clothes are different. But please enjoy our latest episode with the chairman of the IED, Raymond.
So, I'm very happy to have you here on the Design Hub. To start off, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in the industry?
I think from a really young age, I've been one of those really annoying kids that just wants to know how everything worked. Probably drove my mother absolutely insane with incessant questions. But probably once she managed to get rid of me and sort of send me to school, I had a few good teachers, some really good maths and physics teachers that encouraged sort of my curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually sort of went into engineering because that's what I felt I would sort of enjoy the most.
Yeah.
But, fast forward to today, things have changed quite a bit. My direction, my interests have changed from sort of designing things to managing processes and looking at systems.
Okay.
So it just really shows how much of a varied career you can have going into engineering design. Which is kind of the original reason I liked it in the first place.
And was there anything, like a specific area when it came to the engineering? Like, for example, the discipline. Was it the design aspect, or was it perhaps electronic or mechanical, or...?
I ended up as a structural engineer, but I think that was more a desire to see something built.
Okay.
Yes, as a product designer, for example, you will see something built, but something bigger.
on a big scale.
Yeah.
And you just mentioned that you went more into the managing side of the projects and stuff. Is there a particular project that has really stood out to you in your career?
Strangely, no, because I do so much that is quite varied. But I guess the one that sticks out in my mind is actually something from quite an early project of mine, where I was given the opportunity to be on site and watch it get built, help manage the process, get everything coordinated, and there day by day you can see progress, and that was actually very rewarding.
Oh, and the thought process, do you have a specific thought process when you go into projects like this? Is there always a place that you start, or is there always a kind of like a system to it, for example?
Quite often there would be a system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very important to follow these systems to make sure we actually tick all the right boxes, to make sure we don't forget anything. But at the end of the day, the way I tend to approach it from the technical perspective is you've got a problem. What can you do to solve it? Why is it a problem in the first place? And then you look at how can you add value. By solving this problem, could you solve something else? Think about how, who cares about it?
Yeah.
Do you have an end client? Do you have an end user? So in my business, we design bridges and sort of major civil works like that. So a lot of the time, the end user would be the public. So it's about sort of how they interact with that, whether they, even during the construction phase, is it going to be disrupting their lives? How can you minimise that? A lot of that stuff I find quite important, but it is about problem solving.
Yeah. And obviously you're the chairman of the Institution of Engineering Designers, just in case no one knew. But what at first drew you to the IED? Was it something that you saw? Did you talk to someone about it?
Yeah, so my mentor was very supportive about professional registration and my career development, and he suggested having a look at the IED. So I had a few conversations with the membership team. The lady who was in charge at the time was very helpful, and I was quite drawn by that personal touch of really understanding how my situation applied and how that can be applied to the membership process. I also quite enjoy, as I already said, sort of the broad nature of engineering, and the IED represents all of that, not just sort of one discipline, and I quite like that.
Oh, wow. And as the chairman, you have a very specific role to play in the IED. Would you say that as your time on council and as the chair, has there been anything that you've seen that you've gone, wow, the IED has been like really good, or like, is there like a time that's perhaps sort of jumped out at you and you've gone, this is going to make a big impact? not just for necessarily the institution, but for the engineering world as a whole?
I think there's been a lot of different circumstances. I'm quite pleased with the fact that we were able to offer professional registration to technological product designers, for example. That's something that nobody else does. But really it's seeking to raise everyone's profile, to seek a way of differentiating from one designer to the next one. And that gives product designers further recognition that currently, aside from what we're doing, isn't available in the industry.
Yeah, and the idea is celebrating their 80th anniversary. And obviously we've had 80 years of history and development and everything's changing. Is there a particular path or route or just something that you hope to see the IED do in the future?
There's a lot that I would love to see the IED do. But in many ways it's continuing a lot of the good work they've already done. I was thinking about this recently with the whole 80th thing, and yes.
For those on YouTube.
So, what I was quite impressed with is that since 1969 we have been doing an annual conference on education and product design, and that's a long time to be constantly championing that in a worldwide sort of environment.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that continue and expand and be bigger and better year on year.
Oh, and for any students or young professionals out there who are looking to get professionally registered or join an institution like us, is there anything that you think they should know? Any advice that you might give to them?
Get involved. That's the simplest thing. Getting involved in almost anything sort of through the industry, through the institution, whatever it happens to be. But the important thing is make contacts, get more experience, and all of those things will help you stand out and help you understand what you want to do. The important thing is just to get involved so you can understand what you enjoy the most, so you can get the most out of it.
Yeah. Would you also say the same thing for perhaps a student or a young professional going into the working world as opposed to joining an institution? Get stuck in or find what you like?
Absolutely. For myself, actually, I mentioned being given the opportunity to go on site and actually see that. I was quite early in my career at that time, and I did think at the time maybe I should get myself out of the design office and really enjoy this. As it turns out, I didn't do that, and I don't really regret it, but it was definitely a decision at the time because I genuinely thought I enjoyed it, and that would be something I want to do.
I like that. I think that a lot of young people and students especially are quite afraid of being, pushing themselves sometimes, and I think that if you get yourself out of your comfort zone, you never know what's going to happen. And there's always the option to come back, isn't there?
I think that's quite important, just realising that you can always do it again. You can, it's only 6 months, it's only a year of trying something. If you don't like it, do something else.
And lots of young people are obviously going into engineering profession and are going to change the future of the industry. Is there anything within the industry that you're quite excited to develop or come forward?
So much stuff at the moment, to be honest. We're going through a period of so much change, and you know what, I'm pretty sure everyone that you asked that, if you go back 5 years, they would have said exactly the same thing. But if you think about what's really changing in the industry right now, this increasing realization that sustainability needs to drive everything.
Oh yeah,
is absolutely enormous. It's a huge challenge, but we need to do something about that. I think most people recognise that, and increasingly customers recognise that. So designers have to respond to that need.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the opportunities you get for improvement through digitization, automation, the potential that AI has, not just to be used for optimization. I think a lot of people are beginning to use that optimization, prototyping and things like that, but actually use it for co-creation. Yes, I know it does funny things sometimes. I think we've all tried it and it does slightly unexpected things, but that's where the engineer and the designer won't be replaced. They need to be there to go, no, that is complete rubbish, but that was a good idea. Because that's what I personally find really interesting about design. It's not when you're doing the mundane, but it's when someone in the design team comes up with a great idea and everyone gets excited about it. Well, AI has a lot to draw from. That, you know, we have, as individual humans, we have experience. AI has a lot more than that. So they can come up with 10 rubbish ideas, but one great one. All it takes is that one great one for everyone to go, most of that was rubbish, but let's follow this particular train of thought and see where it takes us. And I think there's a lot of potential there.
So, in your opinion, do you think that possibly the future of design is obviously designers working with AI and the different softwares, even creating the new softwares for designers to use? Do you think that's a possibility?
I think as an industry, we need to come to grips with what AI can do, what AI should do. And I think there's a certain amount of work that needs to be done there for everyone to become comfortable with it. I would imagine years ago people were a bit dubious about calculators, computers and whatever else.
They are scary.
So there is a transition period, but we need to embrace it. We need to be part of that conversation to address whatever concerns we do have and improve it, not just say it's going to be a terrible thing and it's going to ruin everything. I know that change will always bring some uncertainty.
Yeah.
But my advice, I think, to younger engineers and designers looking to come into the industry is don't be afraid of that change. Embrace it and really just understand what next.
Yeah. Also, with younger minds coming in, I feel like there's different understanding as well. Obviously, there's years of experience of people who have gone through the industry, but then obviously there's the new sort of fresh ideas coming in and rolling in with these new young professionals and students. And yeah, I just think that a lot of change, like you said, change can be really scary for a lot of people, but let's be honest, like for example, the IED wouldn't have gotten where it is today if we hadn't done what we did and changed the kind of like the thing since 1969, you know. If we hadn't had that idea of let's hold this conference for our people, then, well, we still wouldn't be doing it today. And is there anything else that you'd like to say to our audience? Perhaps, obviously you've given some great advice today. And I hope that a lot of our younger members, if they listen to this, or should I say when, I'm being positive here, when they listen to this, have taken on board. Is there anything else that you'd like to perhaps say to our members that are listening?
I think it's important to remember we as an institution exist for our members. We within our mission, it is to be for our members to provide support, to inspire them. And what we need to do is not be afraid to say what we want and what we need. We can't deliver everything, but we need to know what the wider membership actually needs from us. Otherwise, we will continue, we will look for ways to improve, as we all must, but help us along that route, basically.
Yeah.
So please get involved, volunteer your time if you have it. If you don't, then that's absolutely fine. But if you have an opinion, share it with us, and we can make the institution better for everybody.
It's that co-creation you were talking about. Happens not just between humans and technology, but humans themselves.
Absolutely.
And if anyone wanted to learn any more about you, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn very rarely, but I am on there occasionally. Otherwise, we're quite happy just to get in touch via email. Just contact the ID and they can link us up.
Brilliant. Well, it's been amazing having you on here today.
Thanks for having me.
It's been great. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. We have the whole lot. Until next time, goodbye.